On a chilly summer morning, Dr. Jaime Gomez led a group of Eastern Connecticut State University students to Los Tuxtlas Rainforest. In the heart of this rainforest, they discovered the devastating problems confronting this fragile ecosystem.
The documentary experience was great. It was intense. It was really intense sometimes.
At a University of Mexico research station, the students got an introduction to the sights and sounds of the forest.
When we got there, everything just kind of hit us. We just went out and filmed without ever really looking at the cameras. We were just really unprepared.
Is there a reason why the lens is 270 degrees wrong?
We didn't know what we should be shooting.
The animals in Los Tuxtlas are unique to this part of the world. Howler monkey of the genus Alouetta pass by the station every day. However, they're an elusive group. If you're lucky enough to catch up with a howler monkey family, make sure you brought the proper equipment. The trees in Mexico are very high, and condensation plagues even the finest camera. Back at the station, the students captured bats to classify in the lab. These species inhabit the forest and nearby caves. Certain species prefer the beachfront views at caves like this one.
We had the experience shooting the documentary, and we had the experience of interacting with the different, culture.
Small towns are scattered throughout the area around Los Tuxtlas. Some are just a few houses clustered in the middle of patches of forest.
It just kind of made me think how, the simpler things in life are a lot more important sometimes.
The people here sustain themselves by growing various crops. Some have cleared trees to use the land to raise cattle, while others make their livings through fishing or a combination of methods.
Mire, yo llegué aquí en el año de 1943, el 18 de febrero.
Lino Nava has lived in this region for many years. He's seen many changes that have occurred.
Cuando llegué aquí, pues esto era una hermosura, un lugar muy bello, muy hermoso. Era una montaña muy bella, montaña alta. Cantidad de animales, tucanes, había bastante animal, tigres, jaguares.
Aquí en el Cerro del Borrego había venados, había tigres, había muchos animales aquí en el Cerro del Borrego.
Grabby Robles owns a store in the small town of Cerro del Borrego. A lot of customers have passed through while she's been there.
Este ecosistema ha tenido muchos problemas en el pasado y en el presente.
Dr. Juan Núñez Farfán is an expert on ecology and the biodiversity of plants. He's focused on maintaining the genetic diversity presently found among species here.
En el pasado, el estado de Veracruz, donde estamos, situados, era fundamentalmente un estado donde se producía petróleo. Entonces no había muchas presiones sobre la selva.
Entonces a los que más se dedican es a trabajo de ganadería y un poco de agricultura.
Santiago Rojas is a University of Mexico field guide. He has lived here all his life.
Pero también y era un estado también agrícola. Posteriormente se volvió un estado ganadero y es exactamente en esos momentos cuando ha habido presión sobre las comunidades naturales, no solamente sobre la selva húmeda tropical, sino también otro tipo de comunidades.
Empezaron a desmontar y luego después que para sembrar maíz o para sembrar cosas así pequeñas, pero luego invadieron los ganaderos y fueron los que acabaron con toda la montaña para sembrar el pasto.
Y los ganaderos son los que vinieron a acabar con todo, lo último ya. Y ellos fueron los que acabaron con todo.
There are not a lot of options available to people living in the countryside, so the forest has been cleared to make way.
Tienen que combinar tanto la ganadería, un poquito de la siembra de maíz y la pesca de mojarra, que es la tilapia que hay. Entonces, de esa forma combinan sus tiempos de trabajo y para obtener un poco de ganancia.
El cambio del uso de suelo de ser fundamentalmente agrícola a ser ganadero ha hecho que se hayan destruido muchas de las zonas de selva para introducir pastizales y con esto alimentar al ganado. Entonces esto ha hecho pues básicamente eliminar la selva.
Otra parte que también llega un momento que es un centro de beneficio para el pueblo es la laguna Zacatal, que la tenemos aquí abajo. Es una laguna que se llena temporalmente. Se llena a principios de julio, agosto, cuando empiezan las lluvias, sube de nivel, se llega hasta el ras de los árboles.
Zacatel Lagoon is a seasonal lagoon located far from the station, miles into the forest.
We are in the Zacatel Lagoon. It's a temporary lagoon. This is a dry season, so you can see it's dry.
Dr. Jorgina Santos is a professor at the University of Mexico. She is a specialist on amphibians. Here at Zacatel Lagoon, she's collecting samples of frogs to test for the presence of a mysterious fungus.
Esta laguna se alimenta de las lluvias y de todas las filtraciones de agua que vienen de los arroyos y de las lluvias, cuando es la temporada de lluvias que empieza por ahí de junio y termina hasta diciembre en algunas ocasiones. A partir de febrero y hasta marzo y abril es la temporada de secas, ya no llueve y entonces el agua se absorbe. Under the ground it's humidity and we can see baby frogs and toads.
The cryptid, or beady fungus, is responsible for declining frog and toad populations all over the world. Scientists believe that humans help to spread the fungus, but the true cause is unknown.
We are investigating the process of extent of beady fungus in Mexico. I collected a couple of frogs to take a sample of the skin and take the samples to the laboratory and verify if the BD is present in frogs and toads populations here in Los Tuxtlas.
Through the research Dr. Santos is conducting, she hopes to find a way to control the spread of this deadly fungus.
Al parecer, el aumento en la temperatura en los bosques tropicales está haciendo que surjan brotes de algunos parásitos, en particular Batrachochytrium dendrobatidis, que es un hongo que está afectando de manera muy severa a muchas especies de anfibios en el mundo, que no se había registrado en México hasta hace unos años que empezamos a trabajar. Es parte de mis proyectos, de mi interés particular como científico, estudiar la extensión del hongo y los posibles mecanismos de control. Yo les enseñaba a ustedes que tenemos un problema, un fenómeno global que se llama la declinación de las poblaciones de anfibios. En México lo estamos viviendo también, estamos siendo testigos de una crisis de sobrevivencia para los anfibios, en particular como grupo. El grupo está viéndose afectado muy seriamente. Hay gente que habla de que puede ser una crisis y un problema de extinción tan grande como lo fue en su momento la extinción de los dinosaurios, en donde muchísimas especies desaparecieron casi simultáneamente a causa de diferentes factores. Ahorita lo estamos atestiguando con los anfibios. Hay especies en todo el mundo en donde no solo estamos presenciando la extinción local de poblaciones, estamos presenciando la extinción de especies. La extinción es irreversible.
The National University of Mexico Research Station of Los Tuxtlas lies within 28,000 acres of protected forest. This area is only half of what it once was. The forest has shrunk due to human interference. 1,400 acres of forest lie within the biosphere that this research station looks after. Scientists that conduct research here are also instructors at the University of Mexico. The forest provides an ideal classroom.
Here at Los Tuxtlas, one of the projects that I'm working on is using the forest as a natural laboratory.
Dr. Mark Olson studies the evolution and diversity of plants and trees.
They don't eat the leaves. Leaves are actually a pretty crummy food source. What they do is, this is a little bit that they've cut and dropped, but they take these down underground and have big chambers where they cultivate a fungus.
One of the themes of tropical rainforests and tropical habitats in general is diversity. A huge part of the concentration of species on Earth is found in tropical habitats. Even though tropical rainforests are, 7–12% of the Earth's surface, there may be half or 80% of the world's species concentrated in these areas.
La selva tropical se caracteriza por poseer una gran riqueza de especies, tanto vegetales como animales, una cantidad enorme de formas de vida.
There are lots of different shapes and sizes, lots of different ways of being an organism. So one of the things that we're doing is using this diversity that surrounds us here at this one spot and using that as a model to try to understand how life evolved to become so diverse on Earth. Because trees are great things to study because they don't run away, they don't bite you. You cut off a branch and they don't scream or anything, it grows right back. And what we're using is a group of trees that only grows in Mexico, and it goes from everything from this, I don't know if you can see this red tree behind me, great big tree in the rainforest, and half a country away in the very hot, dry tropical forests in north of Acapulco, there's a relative that's just a tiny little thing. So we go everything from a 6-foot tree to a 100-foot tree.
Tropical rainforests are mainly affected by the establishment of pastures for cattle, and also for different human activities, and they are this type of activities are destroying and shrinking the tropical rainforest.
Dr. Graciela Garcia Guzman uses the field station here as a base, collecting samples from the forest.
And now what we have is a collection of patches in many parts of the world, Here in Mexico, well, it's not the exception, and we also have that problem. And as you can see here in Los Tuxtlas, we have a big patch that is the station, the reserve, 640 hectares. But outside the station, we have small patches everywhere. And, well, it will be very difficult to preserve these patches, mainly because with the human activities, we are restricting the spread or the movement of animals that can spread seed or the pollen from plants between patches. So probably the patches that you can see around the station will die sooner.
And these poor soils are exactly one of the reasons that it is being cut down. Because to feed my family, if I have a plot of land, well, naturally I'll cut down a little bit of the forest, use the wood to build my house and other things, and plant that land. But after a while, it stops providing the yield that I need. So the only solution is to cut down more. That's one of the reasons that deforestation rate in tropical forest is so high.
Dr. Guzman analyzes samples to test for important plant pathogens that play a role in the health of trees.
Pathogens are very, very susceptible to changes in humidity and temperature.
If you look around at all of the trees around us, those are all carbon dioxide. You can think of them as carbon dioxide that's bound up in a tree and is not in the atmosphere contributing to the greenhouse effect. If there are fewer and fewer and fewer hectares of tropical rainforest and other sorts of forest, that carbon is in the atmosphere and not bound up in an organism.
What I have seen in seasonal dry forests, for example, where I have studied more the effect of fragmentation, is that in forest fragments, pathogens are almost gone.
Bueno, la selva de Los Tuxtlas, Veracruz, es uno de los lugares, es un lugar muy rico en especies. Esta posee aproximadamente 200 especies de aves.
The Montezuma oripindula is one of the more prominent species of bird. They make their homes in many trees nearby the station. You can easily spot the trees where this species has made its home because of their unusual nests. These nests hang 3 or 4 feet from the branches of the trees. The oripindula is a social bird. It often lives in colonies of over 140.
Okay, and this bird actually has a band on it, okay? So this has already been marked by me several years ago.
In order to track the migration patterns of birds traveling through the area, researchers will capture specimens for study.
Okay, this bird, they just figured out it weighs 16 grams as this thing, as it's calibrated, okay? And we're gonna take, okay, 55.
Dr. Rosamond Cortez is director of the Los Tuxtlas Field Station. She specializes in the research of birds.
Whether I'm inside the forest, the dense forest, we could probably catch anywhere between 15 to 18 species. And on the edges or open areas, which are more dynamic habitats for birds, because we get the forest interior birds coming out and the outside birds, we probably catch maybe up to 25 different species. Most birds that are rainforest interior dwellers are vulnerable.
The species that are captured more often are more likely to survive.
This is the understory to middle story. It'll be up to about 20 meters in height. It's a generalist. It'll eat insects and fruit. It follows the army ants, and it also takes advantage of many fruiting trees. Birds are very important to, well, the rainforest ecosystem, such as they're very important seed dispersers of many trees, not only the primary species, but the secondary species or pioneer species that we need to start regeneration of the rainforest.
We found that the genetic richness is reduced, and also the potential for gene movement through seed dispersed by birds or by pollinators is highly reduced.
They're important pollinators for many plant species and also control many insect plagues. As the forest decreases, okay, we have less number of species which are able to provide the food resources which these birds need to survive, and enough area for them to reproduce and carry out the activities that they need to survive.
El manglar es una línea de vegetación que ocurre en las costas de los trópicos y en algunos lugares de los subtrópicos, es decir, entre el trópico de Cáncer y el trópico de Capricornio.
In Central and South America, the red mangrove is most prominent and is able to grow in the saltiest of conditions. Known as Rhizophora mangle, or the walking tree, the red mangrove can be identified by the red hue taken on by the bark around the base of the tree's roots.
Bueno, el manglar, como se conoce a este tipo de ecosistema, es un sistema ecológico muy particular porque es un sistema en el cual, digamos, en términos de diversidad biológica es bajo, en términos de lo que es la estructura vegetal, pero es muy diverso si uno considera también la parte acuática, porque los manglares se desarrollan en lo que son las lagunas costeras, un lugar donde se mezclan las aguas marinas con las aguas dulces de los ríos y crea un ambiente que se denomina salobre. Pero entre otras adaptaciones también, en estos ambientes que son muy móviles, se encuentran las raíces que son pivotantes, que las anclan al suelo, que es fangoso, y también, digamos, hay zonas donde hay corrientes, por lo tanto estos están sujetos a movimientos de las mareas.
Mangroves help to protect coastal areas because the structure of the tree's roots serve to slow tidal speeds, lessening the impact of waves during storms, holding sediments in place.
Sin embargo, digamos, la vegetación vecina a los manglares puede ser una selva húmeda tropical, como ocurre aquí en Los Tuxtlas, Veracruz, o puede ser un desierto, como ocurre en Sinaloa, en México. Los manglares son un tipo de vegetación muy especial. Decía que estaban distribuidos en todo el mundo, pero es un ambiente, digamos, sumamente frágil, porque justo en las costas de los continentes es donde ocurren los desarrollos urbanos, turísticos y también de fábricas, ¿no? Por ejemplo, de tratamiento de extracción de sal, por ejemplo. Entonces, en muchos lugares las lagunas costeras han sido secadas y eso, digamos, tiene consecuencias muy importantes en la supervivencia de los manglares.
The biological diversity of the Tuxtlas region must be conserved. Efforts have already begun. They must continue. Furthering knowledge of this region and others like it is the only way we can hope to keep this forest from extinction.
This is us lost in the woods. In the rainforest.
Here's the thing. We didn't pay attention. There was a trail, but now there's not.
What happened to your feet?
Full of ants, little red ants.
You got bit?
They bite very painfully. You see, right? Yeah.
That's part of the sports center.
Yeah. A lot of all kinds of things.
Hey.
Hey, man. Come hang out.
What if he was like, what do you want?
It looks, is it?
You know what? Run, because if it goes after you, run some other way. Don't run this way. Don't bring the cow here.
Me and the bull.
Oh, the throwing. That's the monkey.
They totally are.
Cut.